Welcome back to the table. This is round one. We're here with a special guest, Nick Little, and one of his newest games, Astro. And you're not the only designer on this, right?
That's correct. Will Sobel is the other designer for
Will
this.
Sobel, who's not here with us. On my right, we have Jeremy Howard.
Hi, my name is Heremy.
Oh, okay. All right. Now, I introduced this as a round one, but theoretically, it might end up being a round 1 and 2.
Sure.
It depends. We might play 2 rounds. You know the drill. We sometimes play a few more rounds than just one. But we are going to play a little bit of the game, and then just enough to give you an idea of what it's like and how it plays. Then we're going to finish the entire game, and then we'll come back and share our whole experience for the game. But before we get started, Nick, can you tell us sort of the birthplace of this game? Because if you're familiar with Aeon's End, you're going to have some familiarity.
Yeah, so the origin of this game is definitely Aeon's End, as you'll see through the playing here. It started with, a couple of the versions of Aeon's End, a couple of expansions had come out, and it was really critically well received, but it just wasn't getting the market penetration that we liked, and we were trying to figure out why. And what it came down to is we felt like it was slightly more complicated in some ways, but also that the setup time really kind of prevented people from pulling it off the shelf, setting it up, and tearing it down. And so we'd, for several years now, have been working on a version of Aeon's End that got to the table faster and was a little bit more streamlined. After you've made a game for 7 years now is what we're going on, you unfortunately have to continue to live with some of the things that you would go back and change if you could. And so this game comes from 7 years of experience of watching people getting caught up on certain rules or things not being as intuitive as you thought they were when you made it 7 years ago. So this game it's going to feel like a streamlined Aeon's End, and most importantly to us is that the setup should take 5 minutes instead of the Aeon's End 10 to 15 minutes, or when you get all of the Aeon's End content and you're picking out a market of 9 cards from 200 player cards.
Yeah, I can attest. We set this up before Nick showed up here, and you have a lot more experience with Aeon's End than I do. But even with that said, there's really not too much to get this thing on the table and get going, for sure. And it should be noted, too, this is not in the Aeon's End universe. This is a complete reset and a new game. Astronauts, what can you tell us about that world, if you will?
The world is kind of 90s, space comic-y sort of thing. It's like a little Voltron meets...
I was getting Voltron vibes.
Yeah, meets kind of Green Lantern sort of situation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but generally the gameplay you're going to see is going to push a lot of the same buttons.
Yep.
And I'm personally intrigued about the whole getting it to the table and getting it and having more of a streamlined experience. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started. Nick, I'm going to hand it to you to sort of lead the game, if you will.
Okay.
What do we do to start?
Sure. So, you've already got a setup, so that's a great start. What you do is the game is just like Aeon's End in the turn order aspect, in that there is 6 cards that make up the turn order deck, and there's always 4 player cards and 2 boss turn order cards. So that's a little different because in solo you play with 3 player cards and 2 boss turn order cards, but every other player count it's always 4. And the nemesis, or the boss in this case, first slip up using Aeon's End terminology.
We're having to shift in terminology.
This is so, let's just be honest. This is it seems like it's like a 75-25 kind of thing. Like I said, it's supposed to be familiar. Right?
Yes.
But yeah, there's definitely some changes in here, so we'll get to those.
For sure. Okay, so I went ahead and reshuffled this deck, and then I'm going to reveal it. Player 1. That's Jeremy. So everybody was given a player number token at the start of the game, and Jeremy is player 1.
All right, so I have these things called fuel, and then I also have some weapons. Now, in this game, there's weapons, okay? So you're going to be able to load your weapons up in these slots here. Now, you start out in your character board, you're going to have 4 slots. But now, unlike the Aeon's End where you're used to having spells, you got to unlock a whole bunch of stuff. These you just have to pay. You have to pay with your power cores and your cells and use energy to basically pay for this slot. And this slot costs 3. So if you were to pay 3 energy like this, if I were to pay 3 energy, I could move one of my slots up like so and just kind of keep going up, which allows me to play more weapons in this slot. All right, so that's kind of how that works.
Which is effectively where you're going to stage
Right.
almost all the cards you're playing.
Yeah,
Right.
you equip your weapons. Your weapons are going to be your primary damage dealing source. Similarly to Aeon's End, you're going to equip your weapons during your turn, but then you don't get to use them until your next turn.
Right.
Your turn starts with an attack phase where you can attack with all the weapons that you equipped in previous turns.
So I'm going to show that off. I'm going to go ahead and pay these 3 to move this up 1. And then I'm going to play my regular attack, which is basically a blaster, normal game. And then I'm going to add my tectonic repeater, okay?
You have to say it like that, by the way,
Tectonic
too.
repeater, okay? And we'll talk about that when I fire it off. But, of course, that's the end of my turn. So we just put all these cards. I'm going to put them back in any order I want, but I'll have the same cards. So there you go. The same cards. I'm going to put my discard pile right here. And then I'll draw back up to 5, which there should be 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that is my turn.
Now, Jeremy brought up that he was discarding his cards in whatever order he chooses, because just like in Aeon's End, you don't shuffle your deck. So this is unlike most deck builders. When you would draw a card, and you can't, you just take your discard pile, you flip it over, and you start drawing from there. So that allows you to combo certain cards together and kind of know what your capabilities are for the upcoming turns and how to prepare for them.
Yeah, if you're not familiar with Aeon's End and you're watching this, what Nick just explained, is probably one of the coolest, most interesting things about how Aeon's End and this game works. And you can't really appreciate it as much hearing it as you can seeing it or even experiencing it. I remember the first time I played Aeon's End, I was like, because you're just on autopilot and you're like, okay, no. This is not just deck building, but very much deck management, because you are actually able to cycle your deck and build it in such a way that you're playing in an order, if you will, right?
Right, exactly. We call it a conveyor belt.
Yeah.
Because it like loops around and you put different stuff on the conveyor belt, but it keeps its order.
Yeah, it has almost, it's not programming, but it almost pushes some of those same buttons in terms of what you're trying to do.
Nothing like firing things off together at the same time. It's just nothing, and that's why it's like it's my favorite, just because I like that feeling of like it's gonna sync up. As soon as we flip this, we're gonna just murder this guy.
Yeah, I mean, in an abstract way, it brings in timing to a deck builder much more than any other deck builder that I've played.
Yeah.
All right, what we got?
So Jeremy's done with his turn, so we're going to reveal the next one. Player 3, that's me, Christina. So I don't have any weapons equipped because I haven't taken a turn yet, so I don't do anything during my attack phase. I will go ahead and equip my blaster. I start with 1 slot. I don't have a second weapon in my hand like Jeremy did.
Yeah.
So I don't need to buy another slot right here. I do have 3 power core, so that's 3 energy. And I have a 4th card. This is my special card. Jeremy had his special card was the Tectonic Repeater. I'm not going to try and say it how he said it. But so as the specific mage you are, everybody starts with a unique card in their starting hand. You also have a little special ability down here that you can power up to. And once it's fully powered, you can activate it whenever it says, and it'll do the thing that it says. So my card says gain 1 energy, and then I may attack with any player's weapon. I'm going to choose not to attack with any player's weapon. There's nothing out to hit yet. I could hit the boss, but I just want to kind of wait and see what comes out that we might want to shoot. So I have 4 there I go again. I have 4 energy.
4 energy.
Okay, so we go over to the supply decks over here. So this is another aspect to this game that is different, as far as I know, to any other deck builder. So in Aeon's End, you would have 9 piles of cards, and all the cards in each pile were exactly the same.
Kind of Dominion-esque.
Right, Dominion-esque. And then you have the trade row deck builders like Ascension or Star Realms or Legendary, etc., where you don't know what's going to be in there. It could be a bunch of 2-cost cards. It could be a bunch of 7-cost cards where you can't buy them. And it could be.
You've kind of
It kind of
merged
blended
them
them
a little
together.
bit.
Exactly. That was, and this is part of the big part was to cut down on setup time here, but also give you the multiple options in different types and ranks, right? Okay. So this deck here is fuel cards. So these will all give you more energy, so it'll increase your economy. In this particular deck, they all cost 3 or less. So they all cost 2 or 3. So you always have a cheap fuel that you can buy.
I see.
This next one here is the more expensive fuel. They all cost 4 to 6. They all continue to generate energy like you would expect from fuel. But they just cost more, so they have bigger effects. I'm going to skip this one for a second. I'll come right back to it. These are the 3 weapon piles. So these weapons cost 4 or less. These weapons cost 5 or 6. And these weapons cost 7 plus. So when you go to look at what you can buy, you can always only buy the top card, but once you bought the top card, the next one just gets flipped over and you'll be able to see what you can buy. So I skipped the tech pile. The tech is kind of your Swiss Army knife, jack of all trades sort of situation. They pretty much won't gain you energy, but for example, this one, magnetic holster, says any player gains a slot and any ally equips a weapon.
Oh.
So an ally is just any other player that isn't you. So if I bought this and it would go into my discard pile, and then when I drew it, I could go, okay, who's got a bunch of weapons that they need? Go ahead and gain a slot. And then who's got a weapon they want to equip from their hand? Go ahead and do that. So you notice how this is very different from all these that just deal damage or whatever.
Right.
The tech have a special ability that none of the other cards do called overcharge. It's not printed on the card, but it is on your player aid here. And what that means is if I go to gain a tech, so if I pay the 3 for it, instead of putting it in my discard pile to go into my deck, I can immediately use it and then put it on the bottom of that supply deck. So it'll show a new one here.
And you just, that's an option?
That's an option for tech only. It's called overcharging.
Interesting.
So what's cool about that is early in the game, I probably want to get that card so that I can use it a bunch of times. But late in the game, when I have $6 or $8 or whatever, and I'm like, if I buy a card, am I even going to draw it? Or if I only draw it once, maybe I end up charging 2 or 3 tech and give us instant bonuses.
Yep.
Opportunistic situation.
Yeah, exactly. Or it's like, right now, we really need you to equip that spell because we need to shoot something,
exactly.
right? So maybe I do that there. There's nothing out. I have $4. My character plays a support role. So
Okay.
mostly what I'm going to do is I'm going to buy this mag field here. So this is a fuel that costs 4. It says gain 2 energy, and then it says the next time you gain a weapon this turn, you can place it on top of any ally's deck.
Oh.
So this is going to allow me to give you guys weapons in a way that you draw them faster than if they just went in your discard pile.
I'll gladly take that.
Now, see, what Jeremy's doing right now is one of my favorite things that this game is adding, and that's that feeling of discovery and
Right.
reveal. When you flip over another card and everyone wants to pause and go, oh, what's that do?
What's that, right?
Because it's not just the same card again, and that's one of the things that I really like that you've added to this one.
Awesome. Well, I'm done with my turn, so I'm going to draw my 5 cards. I'm going to flip over, and we have the wild. So in the 3-player, because there's 4 turn order cards, we have a wild token. And the player who starts with a wild token is the first player. You can pick any player if you want. But when this card comes up, that person takes a turn, and then they pass the wild token to the player on their left.
All right. So first thing on my turn, I can fire this off. This is the attack phase, so I'm going to fire off these 2 cards. And my tectonic repeater, all right, it says deal 1 damage, and you may return a weapon from your discard pile to your hand. Now, I can fire these off in any order, right?
Any order.
All right, so I'm going to fire off this blaster.
I like what you're doing.
And perhaps I will bring it right back out of here. So we'll do 1 attack. We'll
The
attack
blaster
boss.
just does 1.
Right, does 1. And then I'm going to deal 1 damage with my tectonic repeater. And then it says I may return a weapon from your discard pile to my hand. So I'll put in my hand. Okay.
So Nick, as he's doing that, the cards, and this is very important with the timing, as you're using cards, they're instantly going into your discard pile, right? Like
With the weapons, they go to your discard pile when you're done resolving them.
I see.
When you're playing your cards for your turn, they go at the end of your turn.
The played cards.
Yeah, the played cards go at the end of your turn. So when you buy something, it immediately goes.
Yeah.
So
But that keeps people from maybe cycling some things illegally, if you will.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
At the end of the day, if you get this wrong, it actually only hurts you if you end up putting these first and the card you bought.
I was going to say that it
So-
will only hurt you.
Yeah, the only time you're like really cheating is if you like go through and reorder your whole discard pile. Like if you get a thing wrong here or there,
Now,
it's rarely to your betterment.
before I take my next turn, tell me a little bit about this home world, because this is something different too.
Right.
Right. So I might want to use that. So can you tell me a little bit about the home world stuff?
So yeah, let's briefly talk about win conditions and loss conditions. So to win the game, we're gonna need to deal all the damage. So he starts with 50. Jeremy did him 2 this turn, so he's at 48.
All right.
That's how we win the game. How we lose the game is if everyone becomes exhausted. That means we all go down to 0 life.
All right.
And when we become exhausted, there's a penalty for it, and it's showed here on the boss map.
When any one of us.
Any single one, we have to resolve that. So,
Okay.
and this varies from boss to boss. And then the other way that we can lose, there's 2 ways, I guess, is if the planet, the home world that we're defending, goes down to 0 life. And this, so we're on Quarus. It has 28 life, so we set that there. Now, there will be effects here And actually, your ability does this too. That says the homeworld powers up. So just how like we can gain power-ups, and then when we get to the top, we can use the ability. The homeworld will power up. This is kind of like you're encouraging the people that live here to help you defend them, basically.
It seems like that's my job.
That is your job. You're a man of the people.
Yeah.
So in this case, Quarus' ability is for 3 power-ups. You can use this during any player's main phase, and then it'll deal 4 damage, and then it'll 2 damage. So it'll deal 6 damage, kind of divided in a good way for you.
All right, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a combination of things. We're going to go ahead and power that up. It costs 2, right?
You cannot pay to just power up the homeworld.
Oh, that's right. We got the
You have
card.
to get effects.
You have to have
here,
effects there.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll pay 3 of these energy,
Okay.
and I will go ahead and grab a repulsor because I'm leaning a little bit more heavy towards weapons. Like I want to blast some things.
Sure.
All right, so this is going to go there. I'm going to keep.
What's your last card?
It's an energy. I didn't want to spend it on that.
Gotcha.
I want weapons really bad, but
Sure.
And again, you can hold back cards.
you
right?
can.
You can hold back cards, and in Aeon's End, you're forced to hold weapons that you can't equip. In this game, you don't have to.
I see.
Okay, so here we are. This is
it's
where
a
I'm going
little
to
less punishing.
draw 5 cards, and you have to resist. You have to
Shuffle.
resist.
You
the
just
shuffle.
pick up that discard
You have
pile
to resist
and
the
flip
shuffle.
it over.
Yep.
All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, cool.
All right, let's go to the next turn. Oh, we got a boss turn.
Do I get to play in the game?
You will at some point.
No, that's one of the cool things too. I'd forgotten about that after he'd taken his turn, and I was all ready to go.
Right.
But it's really nice. I like how it dances around the table.
It's kind of, we give you full control over like what's in your deck in the order, so that's very predictable.
Yeah.
So the turn order is unpredictable so that we can't sit here and math out every turn.
No,
and
believe
going
me,
forward.
it's helped because I kind of know more. After seeing what you guys did, I know what I'm going to do on my turn, I think.
Don't get me wrong. The double boss turn could bring balance to everything.
It is tough sometimes.
All right.
So the boss turn, what they're going to do is activate all the stuff they have in play.
Yep.
Right now they don't have anything in play, and then they have a draw phase. So we're just going to draw 1 card off the top of the deck here. You'll notice there's already a couple of cards in the discard pile. That's because based on player count, you go through and discard some of the cards. You don't remove them from the game. You discard them here.
Okay.
Because what's going to happen is the boss is going to go through his deck, and then when he can't draw a card he needs to, he levels up. So you'll notice here it says level 1 on this map.
Yeah.
He starts at level 1, which are just these rules. And then you draw the level 2 card and you put it into play, which we won't get this far on this round 1/2. But the instant effect will happen immediately. If it has any persistent effects, we'll do those later. And then, you know what? We're on the wrong side of this card. There we go.
There we go. Yeah.
So also, it'll give the little minion bonus life. So all the minions it'll have will come in with this additional life.
Okay. Yeah, I'm assuming they don't get easier as they level up.
They do not get easier as they level up.
And I'm assuming that's there's a nightmare mode. So this gets real hard if you want it.
There's an expert and a nightmare, right?
Okay.
So there are 3 difficulties available to you if you really
When there's
get
a
into it.
level beyond expert, you know you're in trouble.
It's tough. It's one of those that like,
Who is this boss, by the way? Introduce them.
So this is Architect 0815.
I'm guessing there's some robotics going on.
Yeah.
There are some robotics, and what's cool about these, and now you've taped it to the table, but I mean, I would love to read for you the back part because there are really interesting stories. And what we did is, new players often are like, I don't know the strategy for this going in, or we're completely lost. Yeah. So what we did is we weaved in some strategy
into the story narrative?
into the narrative, right?
Cool.
Because the overall premise of the game is that basically there was this guy who discovered this really powerful energy source, like a scientist, and he went from planet to find that planet's greatest hero to wield this power and defend the galaxy.
Okay.
And that's why we all have these little like sort of diamond power cores in the middle of our chest, because we are the individual defender from that planet. So he or his scouts give us a little rundown of what's going to happen.
Okay.
So, but what that scenario or what that synopsis is going to tell you is that this guy's going to make a bunch of droids. They're in these droid decks. They're going to come out. They're going to do stuff.
Not nice stuff.
Not nice stuff.
Okay.
And it also tells you, it gives the little play advice thing is, hey, this guy doesn't know too many programs. He's only got 6 cards. So when he levels up, we're going to know what's in his deck.
Right.
And we can kind of maybe predict what's happening or play based on that once we get familiar to what these cards are.
So some of the other bosses are going to have necessarily
This
more.
is the smallest one
I see.
in the base box here.
Okay.
So most of them have around 9 or 10.
Okay.
And most of them only go up to 3 levels. This guy has 6 level cards because his cards are so much smaller.
By the way, these bosses have their own decks. They don't have like filler stuff.
Right.
The
That's the kind of other big setup change from Aeon's End, where in Aeon's End there were 9 specific cards and then a bunch of basic cards that got shuffled, and they were divided by tier because you wanted the game to get harder as it went. So now the game gets harder from the level cards, but also you just pull this guy's deck out and you discard the cards based on player count and you go. Okay. You don't have all this, let's pick out these cards and these cards.
I am liking what I'm hearing about all the changes in development you've made. This sounds really cool.
All right, have at
Let's
it.
do this boss turn. Nothing in play, so nothing happens here. We'll draw the card for Architect. So this is a strike. Strike means that it just happens. Cards are either strikes or minions. Minions come out and do something. So this strike says, if there are 1 or fewer droids in play, so there are none, so that's the case, place droids into play until there are 2.
Okay, that would be 2.
All right,
Yeah.
we got our.
So this one says instant. The home world suffers damage equal to the number of droids in play. So you'll notice this says minion-droid, so the home world takes 1. So that's the first one. So 1 more.
And we have a assault droid type C. Instant. Any player suffers a damage equal to the number of droids in play. Why is this happening already?
So now it would be 2 damage to one of us.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll go ahead and take it.
All right.
Are you noticing a pattern?
Yeah. Very kind.
Yeah.
Do these guys care about how many of them
Yes.
are in play?
Very kind.
Jeremy, will you put 2 life
Yes.
points on each one of these while I
got
go
it.
ahead and draw the next turn order
You
card?
got it.
Thank
Is
you.
it the
No
another
boss,
boss,
no
or is
boss,
it
no
me?
boss,
It
no
is
boss.
It is the
another-
boss.
So these guys, we would do whatever activate effects they have, but they don't have any activate
Oh,
effects.
so the
'Cause
instant's
they just
just the
came
once.
in
Okay.
and they did their thing. So we're going to just go ahead and draw another card. All right, we have another strike. It says discard a droid in play.
Okay.
And then place 2 droids into play.
Oh, well, that.
And then it says if the boss is at level 2, destroy this card.
Okay.
So he's at level 1, so we're good. But after we resolve this the second time, it's going to be gone. His deck's going to be even smaller. He's going to level up even faster.
So it doesn't really matter at this point between these
Right.
two since they're both instant, right?
Yeah, not really.
You sound so
And then we
hopeful.
replace it with 2.
You
Yep.
sound so hopeful.
Who we got?
Here we go. Interrogation droid number 23. Instant. Players collectively discard cards equal to the number of droids in play.
So that-
Okay, so we need to discard a total
Collectively.
of 2 cards. I can definitely discard 1 power core. David, how much money do you have?
I've got 2, a blaster, and my special card, which I was going to use to either help one of you, because it allows me to let you guys discard a card, one of you, to gain a slot, which seems
Okay.
reasonable.
So you have 3 of
Or
those.
this could be an energy if I wanted it.
Right.
If you allow me, if you would allow me to do that, I have my better attack card in here and my tech. That would just keep a cycle. Of
That's
me
what
just
I was.
shooting
I was
all the
planning
time.
on letting you open up
So-
another slot.
So I'll just.
So you need to discard.
I could probably get rid of
yeah.
the blaster.
You can get rid of the blaster, or if you discard this, there's a 2
Oh, you know
cost
what? I
gem
like it.
out,
I like
and then
it.
you'll still have.
So I will. So there's my one.
Okay, and I
you did one. So
Yes.
we're good.
So we need to draw a second
You don't need
droid.
to discard any.
Okay,
Not yet.
we need a second
You gotta
droid.
wait for David's turn. Yeah.
Oh boy.
What do we got? Android Assault Type C Instant. Player suffers damage equal to the number of droids in play.
So somebody
Any
needs to-
player?
Yep.
Yeah, I'll take
Somebody
it
needs
like
to
a
take 3.
I'll take it like a
Are
champ.
generally all of the effects a choice between players, or are some of them directed
Some of them
towards the
will
active
target.
player? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Okay.
There's no active player because it's the boss's turn.
Sure. Oh, that's
Yeah.
true.
Right. But some of them will say like the lowest life player or the person with the most slots or
Okay.
whatever. They will sometimes target. But these are the 3 types of droids that are in this deck. So all the cards that we draw out of that deck are going to be one of these 3 types.
Okay.
Nice.
All right, David, it's your
I
time
think
to
it's my
shine.
turn
It's
now.
your time to
Finally
shine.
go.
All right. I didn't get rid of my blaster, so
Okay.
I am going to ready my blaster.
Equip.
Equip. Thank you.
Yep.
Equip. So that it's ready on my next
Yeah,
turn.
totally.
That's
you
what
go.
I meant.
Yeah.
I'm not using wrong terminology. And then I am going to use Bright Root. This is, I assume, my special card for Toli. I am playing Toli, by the way. And I can gain an energy, or any ally may discard a card in hand to gain a slot. So you have to discard a card if you want another slot.
All right, so we'll discard this card here, and then I will gain another slot.
Nice.
And since that is played, that's going to sit until I'm done
Right.
to
Yep.
put here.
Exactly.
And then I've got 2 energy, and I will buy that. What is that?
Dark Star Aura.
Dark Star Aura. This is fuel. It's going to gain me 2 energy. You may destroy the top card of any supply deck. But I can't do that now. So that's going directly in my discard pile right now. And that costs these 2 energy.
Yep, and you can put those 3 in your discard pile in whatever order you want.
I think I will put them in this order, for lack of a better idea.
Well, that was round 1.
That was round 1.
Yeah.
We are going to play round 2. The good news is we can do this a little more quickly because we don't have to explain as much. You can just kind of watch.
Yeah.
We will narrate what we're doing and tell you the cards that are coming up, but you'll get an idea of how this goes. In fact, you've probably gotten already a pretty good idea. 5 cards, right?
Yes. All right. So, player 3, that's me. All right, so I'm going to use my blaster. I'm going to shoot one of these droids for 1. I'm going to equip another blaster, and then I have 3. I'm going to go ahead and buy this magnetic holster.
Oh.
And be more supporty.
Oh, by the way, speaking of those cards, what was the card that came up when I took my card?
It's called Heliosphere. It says gain $2, or you can destroy this card to gain a weapon that costs 5 or less.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, I dig the art, by the way, too.
Thank you.
Like, I'm really I'm looking at Totally here. Now that you said Voltron, I can't not see
Yeah, I know. I
a
love
Saturday
it.
morning cartoon going on right here, which is awesome.
Okay, wild, and you're the wild player, so you're going to go ahead and take your turn.
Hey,
I'm
everybody,
gonna
I
snag
get
this
to go
token.
again. Well, first things first, I'm going to use this blaster. Should I just take out this
You
combat
definitely
droid?
should.
You definitely should.
Fewer of these guys are going to play, the less hard they hit us.
And I've just got a mess of energy. I got 4 power cores. I've got another blaster, so I'm going to equip that.
Sweet.
Or, equip.
Equip.
You got it.
Equip.
So that it's ready.
Yes.
Right.
And then I'm going to spend these
That's how people talk.
4. Oh, you know what? Just because Tolly, the Magnificent, is on the card, and I have 4 energy to spend,
Yeah?
I'm going to take the mag field.
One card, 1 point discount, 1 energy discount for cards that have my face on it.
Oh, that would be nice.
That's
That
not a
would be
rule.
nice.
That's not a rule.
This one, I don't know if anyone mentioned this one. This is a gain 2 energy again, but it says the next time you gain a weapon this turn, you may place it on the allies, top of an ally's
that's
deck,
the one
which
that
is
I got
pretty
on
sweet.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Ooh, so this is a new one. So just so you know, even though we had the same one, this one is not the same. This one here says you may destroy the top card of any supply. Ooh.
It gives you $3.
Yeah. And it gives you
And
3.
destroy,
energy.
does that go to the bottom or is it gone?
It's gone.
It's gone.
Yeah. Yep.
And Nick, do I go ahead and put these over here now or when I would draw?
At the end of your turn, when you draw up to 5, you're going to flip that and draw there. You touched upon that there were 2 copies.
Yeah.
2 is the most
Most
number that's in
Oh, that
any
you'll
of the
see,
stack. There's not a stack that has like 3 or 4 of the same card. Does anybody else get to play this game, David?
Oh, David, what do you...
I mean, I did give you guys plenty of time the first round. So I'm just saying. I have a question, allies.
Yes.
Does anyone want to do the thing that you did before last time where you get another slot?
I could definitely do that. First, you got to do your attack phase. If you're
Oh,
gonna
yes,
attack.
I'm sorry. I got ahead of myself. I was overly equipped. I'm going to shoot my blaster for 1. I'll just take out another one of
Yeah,
these.
go ahead and chip
Half one
away
of
at
these
those
droids.
because I'm going to be kind of
You got to
finishing
be.
them off.
I haven't played as much Aeon's End, clearly, as the 2 of you. But one thing I do remember is you can't just ignore these guys and
No.
keep tacking the boss.
There's usually a point in the game where you're like, we got to go face with these.
Yeah.
Like, we're just not going to get this done. But
This one's very Ultron-esque, where it's
A little
like
bit.
just a whole bunch of, like, they're just going
Yeah.
to keep walking forward.
That's
they're
kind
gonna,
of his thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
All right, so
get the vibe.
oh, yeah, I would definitely do the discard.
I will play then Bright Root. So you discard a card
Yep. Gain a
to gain a
slot.
slot. And then I've got that Dark Star Aura.
Ooh.
You may destroy the top card of any supply deck. There's no real reason to do that right now, is there?
Just to see. Let's
Well,
pick one.
so I have 5. So on my turn, I was going to buy this and put it on top of one of your guys' decks.
Okay.
Okay.
So I wouldn't destroy this because it could be a 6.
Oh,
And that was part of the reason I went ahead and discarded
You know what?
this.
I'm
power
just
core.
going to spend. I've got 3 power cores and the Dark Star Aura. I'm going to spend those to get the Oracle Hub.
Oracle Hub.
Okay.
All right, what's that do?
Oracle Hub, the homeworld powers up. This is kind of in theme.
It is.
For my character.
For sure.
Any player may destroy a card in their hand.
That's
so this is
good.
just basically a helpful way to call.
Yep. Trashing and
And this goes straight here
yep.
first.
As soon as you gain it,
and
it
then
goes
these
there.
go.
This one and that one.
Put them in that order.
Okey-dokey.
The whole ordering thing is something
mouse
that
here?
takes some getting used to
Yeah,
if you're
it does.
if you're kind of
Oh, for sure.
inexperienced.
Yeah.
But once you have some experience under your belt, it really gets fun.
So I'm going to play this, knock them out. We're going to play this and chip away.
What you? They're just blasters.
Yep,
Yeah.
he's just attacking with blasters.
Then I'm going to set up the repulsor. Okay, once again, this one does 2 damage, and the homework gains 1 health. So we can kind of get that back next time. And then I'll play my tectonic repeater.
Tectonic repeater.
And I'm going to play these 2 power core to grab this heliosphere. So I either gain 2 start, or I may destroy the top card.
Do you have
Destroy
2 or
this
do you
card.
have 3?
I have 2.
The thing costs 3, right?
Ooh, no!
Oh.
I was doing one of my solo moves.
Yeah.
Where was your...
You got to watch Jeremy.
Because I had discarded a card to... We had to discard a card before.
Oh,
For something.
Okay.
Yeah, we had to
did
discard
you-
a card for something.
you had to discard a card?
I thought so. Maybe I
think
made
so.
a mistake.
You discarded a card on your... Oh, yeah. No, he hasn't taken a turn since your...
No, I
3
haven't
turns
taken a turn.
ago.
You took like 3 turns
Yeah,
in a row. Since
That's right.
There we
Yeah.
go.
So that makes sense. So you can spend your 2 to power up.
I can spend my 2 to power up, and that's what I'm going to do. By the way, we should probably talk about the power up here. So I'm going to be able to spend 2 to power up, and it says, activate during your main phase. Attack with up to 2 of your weapons without discarding them. So as you can tell, I'm a weapons specialist. I'm going to be trying to fire it off, and that's why he's opening up some more of my slots so I can keep firing these things off, keeping things in my deck, and that's why I'm chasing after this stuff. And that's why I'm looking for a discount on this car, because it looks really sweet.
I got to remember that too. Powering up is
Yeah.
something that easy to
Yeah.
forget. Now, Nick, quick question on that.
Yeah.
Can you, if I had 4 energy, can I power up twice in 1 turn?
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
And you could also, if say that you can get it to 3 and leave it there, like because yours is the homeworld gains 3 life and powers up.
Sure.
So homeworld hasn't taken 3 damage yet.
Yes.
So, but you could at the start of your turn, if the homeworld's taking a bunch of damage, activate this and then spend 6 and activate again.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like
nice.
there's no limit to the amount of time you have to activate, other than your ability to power up. You know, you have to produce that to get there. Okay, so we know there's gonna be 2 boss turns in a row, so we
Yep.
just kind of hunker down and.
Who shuffled these cards?
That was me. That was me. So this guy just has an instant effect. He doesn't do anything right now. One off the top. All right, we found a minion. It says instant. Shuffle the droid discard pile into the droid deck. And it says activate. Any player discards a card and suffers a damage. So on the next turn, the boss is gonna do that. Or
Oh, that's the
minion's gonna do
activation.
that. Yeah. So we're gonna go ahead and flip this last boss turn. So we have an activation. Any player discards a card and suffers a damage. I'm still on that exact 5 to buy the particle cannon for somebody.
Well, then don't discard for sure.
And I have my perfect hand ready, that I have all my power cards ready to go. So I can buy something cool.
That's true.
Particle cannon. But if I have to part with something, that's fine.
I could part with something.
Okay.
I'll part with my blaster
Okay.
because I'm going to play a support role on my next turn.
Yep, and
suffer
again,
1.
Oh,
damage.
1 damage.
All right.
Can you put 6 life on this
Yes,
guy?
you got it.
Okay. So now we're going to draw the last card from the Architect deck. It says Strike. So we either place a droid into play, or any player loses 2 slots.
2 slots.
So we have an option here of whether we want to get rid of 2 slots or we want to put a droid into play.
What do you guys think?
I would say prioritize. You don't have to worry about slots too much because you're so into support right now. Why don't you just go ahead and go down to 0?
Well, you have 1 slot. You
Yeah.
can't, so you can't lose 2
Oh,
slots.
you can't
Yeah.
lose 2 slots.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
man.
I mean, I have 2 slots because you gained me that 1. I could go down to 0. I only
I
have
think
2
that's
blasters in my deck.
Yeah.
So I'm fine to do this. What's important for us to note is like we know that this card's gonna come up again in the next 6 turns.
Yeah.
So it might mean that we skew towards buying a couple extra slots
Sure.
so that we can dodge this if we want. So yeah, I'll go ahead and go down to 0 slots. And that's the end of round 2.
So can you just tell us a little bit about, because we're going to be kind of closing this up here.
Sure.
Can you tell us what's going to happen now that we're through the deck and what goes on? Because this is where the pressure kind of ramps up.
So on the next boss turn, we're going to do it like we normally would. We'll start with the main phase. We'll resolve the stuff that's in play. So boom, that's what's going to happen. So then when he would draw a card and he can't, we shuffle his deck up to remake his deck. We set it here, and then we put his next level card in play. He's on level 1, we put on level 2. In case of this guy, we make sure we get the normal side and not the nightmare side.
Please.
So, normal side, it says instant minions in play gain 1 health. So we're going to put 1 life on each one of these. So it would have been really cool if had we killed
Yes.
this guy before it flipped over.
Yes.
And then this doesn't have an activate effect. So all it did was boost these guys by 1 life, and now all the minions that come into play have another 1 life.
Right.
It's all minions, though. It's not just the one that comes from his deck. It's all these guys. They had 2 life, now they all have 3 life.
Oh.
So they just got 50% harder to kill. Yeah. And then we go back through this, and we know that there's one card that cares about having 2 of these guys in play. If there's 2 of them in play, 2 droids, it doesn't do anything. Remember that first one that was like and then we have the one that's discard 1 and put 2 into play, and the one that we can dodge by sacking 2 slots, etc. So we can kind of figure out what we're going to do going forward. It might behoove us to keep 2 in play if this deck gets really small and we know that one that cares about how many are in play is still in there. So he really rewards you for kind of like understanding what's coming in a way that the other ones don't usually do, because it's like we know 1 of 10 cards is going to do this thing. So his next level says instant minions in play gain 1 health. We're on the nightmare side.
Flip that deck.
It says minions in play gain 1 health. Reveal the top 3 cards of the droid deck and put 1 into play and put the rest back in any order. So what's interesting there is we're gonna resolve all 3 of them eventually, but at what degree do we think there's gonna be a bunch of guys out? Which ones, you know what I mean? Like we're
all of this is also one of my favorite things about Aeon's End. These bosses are like, it's like playing a video game. That's from the very first time I played Aeon's End. It's like you have to figure out the boss, and you have to figure out, okay, what are you doing here? And they're often wildly different from one another. And we'll get to that after we play the game. We'll ask Nick all sorts of questions. One thing I did want to mention before we cut away to the end of the game is I wanted to mention, while the components were still out on the table, this is absolutely a prototype.
Yes.
There are a lot of things here that will obviously be quite different. A lot of these counters and tokens.
Yeah.
There's, I believe, also some of those sort of
These
dial
will be
mechanisms.
Dials. Yeah, they're a real pain in the butt to prototype.
Yes.
I did not like sending them like this, but the dials were,
But you'll see all of that when they have the game up on crowdfunding. But for now, we are going to finish the rest of this game. Yeah. And place your bets now as to whether or not we're going to win. Or
we're going to win.
I think we're going to win.
We're going to win.
When Nick is at the table with Aeon's End, that's the only time I've ever, I think, come close to winning Aeon's End. I pretty much just err on the side of letting Nick tell me what to do. But anyway, we're going to finish out the game, and we'll be right back to tell you about the entire experience. All right, we're back. Just like that, with the magic of editing, we have completed the game. And you can tell by my demeanor that we didn't lose. No. We actually won. I am going to, again, though, say that it had very little to do with me. I did play a part, but these guys really knew what they were doing for sure.
I just want to say, it was all me, okay? All right? I got out there.
The damage for sure.
Boom, setting this guy in my sights. I'm dealing all the damage here, but thank you guys for assisting me.
Well, that's so gracious of you.
Yeah. It's an honor to be nominated.
It is.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
It is just. I feel like the person in the audience, like clapping like this, but not really meaning.
We're the gaffers, really.
So this character really shined in this gameplay. And that's kind of how this is how if you're used to the Aeon's End, now this game does that same feeling, that same register when you work together and you're kind of supporting. We had 2 characters supporting me, getting my slots open, so now I have all 4 slots, and I'm just getting the cards that I need. We even had a card that was helping me get cards off the top and putting it on top of my deck. But that's what this game does. It's a very pleasing game when everything syncs up.
Yeah, we were definitely, like, if you can visualize it in a movie, he was there, this sort of android robot with a gun, and then we were just giving him more guns.
Right.
And he was taking care of a lot of these, and we were doing a little bit more than that. But at a certain point, we pivoted, and he turned towards the boss, and then we just, for sure. How many rounds, once we really focused on the boss?
It was like 4, 3.
Yeah, and in that last turn, we counted it, and Jeremy had 15 extra damage. Yeah. So I think in the last actual round of the game, we dealt him like 40 damage or something like that.
He had
a bunch.
Was it one of your cards that gave you the ability to fire off without, or was it this?
Yeah, so I have this ability where I can shoot off 2 weapons without like letting them go into my discard pile. So got to a point where I got this 9 with a wonderful assist. So I got a 9 character, a 9 here, and then all of a sudden I was dishing out all this damage. My fusion sniper was kicking, And since I have the tectonic repeater, I could bring that card right back into my hand and just basically just pop off. And now I had got my deck to a certain point where I'm not even buying any cards. I'm just setting up the weapons multiple times in a row. It was very, very exciting.
Yeah, and I really used that one card. I think on camera I used it once where I helped someone open up a slot.
Yeah.
We used that every time I think we could.
Yeah, just about.
Maybe there's one time where we didn't do that. So, and it was important because the slots, even Jeremy, he went up to 4, but then he went back down. There were times where you had to lose slots because of these droids that were coming out.
Yeah, we made the choice to. We could have either like put out another droid or lose 2 slots, and it always felt better to just keep the board contained so nothing got out of control. And you and I could afford to like randomly gain a slot and go down to 0 because we weren't buying a lot of weapons because we were just like shoving them all on Jeremy.
Yeah, which was interesting because at first I was thinking, well, I'm not going to really need a lot of slots because I wasn't going to use weapons. But in the end, like Nick just said, I had 2 just in case we wanted to burn my 2 when that droid came up. Same with Nick.
Yeah.
Our health. Oh, you got down.
Yeah, I got down
low.
halfway.
Yeah.
But none of us ever got exhausted.
No one got exhausted.
Pretty miraculous. And I spent most of my time sort of in character, really charging up that homeworld. I started to end up just using. I bought some cards, but at a certain point, I really pivoted and just kept powering this up so we could keep the homeworld in good shape. And I mean, the homeworld was in great shape, really.
It was in really good shape, and between that and the couple of tech that you got that also powered up the homeworld, we were able to turn your ability into damage.
Yeah.
That was part of the 50 damage we did in this last turn. Was I think the homeworld went off twice, so that was 12 damage. And then, Jeremy reusing that tectonic or the repeater with the sniper.
This the tech cards that we did, we kind of burned through those and overcharged them. That was really timely too. So this new little part right here with the overcharge stuff, that does work out really well when you time it just right. So it's like having you kind of hooked me up a couple times when we did that. So
yeah, the overcharge wouldn't have occurred to me. I mean, I was going to buy a card at one point, and Nick was like, "Well, you might want to just overcharge that, and we can just use it right now." That's the benefit of having one of the designers sitting at your table.
Yes.
But it is a really interesting aspect.
Yeah.
It's almost like it's an extension of your hand over there for a little while, which didn't exist in Aeon's End anymore.
No, it doesn't exist at all in Aeon's End. One of the big differences between this game and Aeon's End is all the architect's cards, all the bad guy cards are either strikes that happen immediately and go to the discard pile, or they're minions that come out and you have to deal with them with damage. In Aeon's End, there's a third type of card called a power card that comes out and it has like a timer before it goes off. And most of the power cards have a way for you to spend money to get rid of them instead of having them resolved. So it was like this other way for like you and I buying a bunch of money to continue to contribute to the game. So this was sort of an answer to that. It was, what am I going to do when I have $6 left and I know that like I'm going to get another turn or two. Right. Like maybe I power up my character and maybe that's good, but maybe I'm buying my third power up of 5 and it's not going to matter. So I look over here and I go, oh, well, there's a 4 there. What does it do? Oh, it powers up the homeworld and it lets, you draw a card or something like that. I'm going to go ahead and do that.
Yeah, you've got to embrace the support aspect of this game for sure, especially if you've never played Aeon's End. You have to really understand that you are helping one another. So you may not be the guy, firing off all the guns and doing tons of damage. But like you said, you pointed out, I was able to sort of convert my mechanisms into the homeworld and doing some damage. But even then, even if you're not going to do damage, there's plenty you can do to support. And taking a turn that helps set someone else up in this game
feels just as good.
It's just as important, if not more so, honestly, than taking an individual turn for yourself that was maybe satisfying, but maybe not for the greater good.
Yeah, for sure.
So what can you tell us? We're going to put you on the spot a little bit.
Okay.
The campaign, if it's not running already, the campaign is going to be running on Kickstarter very soon. What can you tell us about the campaign, what we played here as it compares to what the whole campaign might have in store for people?
Okay, so what you played here is we played 3 Astro Knights and 1 boss. So the game will come with 6 Astro Knights and 4 bosses. And each boss will have 3 different difficulties. So they'll have normal, expert, and nightmare. So there are essentially kind of 12 different scenarios as far as bad guys that you can play, because some of the harder difficulties really change the way the guy works. It's not just like he's got more life.
Okay.
It's like he does this thing faster, or he does this thing more efficiently than he does. Not that like he's got 80 life instead of 50.
That's cool.
You know, so they will really kind of shift what cards can be better earlier or later, etc., depending on how you're dealing with them. And then the market of cards, you can't see all the cards here, but there's basically like 11 or 12 cards in each pile here. So, you know, you're looking at like 70-ish player cards.
Wow.
And that's what kind of, every boss has its own deck. Some of them have their own side deck, etc. But that's basically kind of the box that is your base pledge level. The game will, the campaign will only have 2 pledge levels. It has a base pledge level, and then has another one that comes with a neoprene mat for you to lay out and set all your cards. You don't need it. I mean, because we just played it like this, but it does help you organize, and it's got a really cool image. So, and that one is the other pledge level. So it's really simple as far as what you're backing and what you're getting. The additional rewards are, we do milestones with a lot of our campaigns now. So instead of additional content tied to certain amounts, it's just every day we're like, here's a new thing that you get to look at, check back into the campaign, see what you've unlocked, etc. What we do with Aeon's End content is a lot of the stretch goals in Aeon's End get put into a smaller expansion that gets released later, but you got it for free because you backed the campaign. So what we're doing is we have the 17 milestones. Most of them get put into another expansion. So I'm not going to spoil what's in that because I want you to come back and see.
Sure.
But yeah, so basically you're getting the base game and a free expansion. And then a few of those milestones will be promos that are basically Kickstarter exclusive. So we'll have them at conventions and stuff, but they'll never be in retail.
All right, so that was Astro Knights. We survived. We not only survived, but I kind of feel like we kicked its butt.
We kicked some butt. We were a good team.
How about Nightmare Mode?
No,
I'm just kidding. No, Nightmare mode would definitely be too much for me. Also, Jeremy, before we leave, what do you think? I know you like this game from a solo perspective.
Yeah.
Where do you think this is going to rank on your solo scale?
Oh, well, this right here, just because it's different and it's more streamlined, that's something that's going to be exciting to me. Like that immediately. And I just like incremental changes. I'm comfortable with that. And the new mechanics just really excite me, honestly. This stuff, it's already my favorite deck builder of all time. So to see something like this that has improvements and streamline, it's going to make it so I get this to my table more often.
Yeah,
so
I would think the streamlining for sure is going to help any solo player want to get a game like this out to the table.
This alone, just that alone makes the game so much faster. The setup time. Yeah. I appreciate that first setup from the first box. You know, I appreciate that, but I'm a little bit further down the line now, and now it's great that I have this to whip out right away, and I can just go. So yeah, I really appreciate what's going on here. And of course, new bosses are always welcome. All the new little small things are always welcome, man.
Yeah, I mentioned this to Nick off camera, but that market and the discovery there, it is it's probably my favorite new advancement to this. I am a sucker for, what's next?
Right.
Like, and you reveal that next card, and particularly when you're looking at the art, as you may have heard on camera, there were ones with my guy. So I was like, maybe I'll get that one. Maybe that makes sense. But I really love that feeling of discovery there. So Nick, thanks for coming.
Thanks
for teaching us the game. Thanks for helping us win. It'll probably be the one and only time I ever win one of your games. But if you guys have any questions at all, please make them in the comments below. We will, Jeremy and I for sure will try to get in there and help. Yeah. We might try to wrangle Nick to get in there and try to help answer some of your questions.
Sure.
But until next time, make sure everyone has fun at the table, and we'll see you then.
Take care.
Congratulations, you got to the end of one of our videos. Now, if you want more practice, just click on the video over here. It's another video. You might not have seen it yet, so click on it. If you don't want to do that, at least click on the subscription button below. That always helps us. And if you want notifications, please ring that bell.